So recently in the news, the government actually came out with one initiative that was debated in Parliament that for people who can't sell their HDB due to the EIP or ethnicity integration program, the government will allow them to sell it back to the HDB. So for today's topic, I'll be talking a little bit about the ethnicity integration program and how we can go around doing it and what are the things you should be doing if you face such an issue. Before we get started, make sure you subscribe to this channel on YouTube and click on the alert notification. Hi, my name is James Lim, founder of the Property Plus system, and today I'll be talking or sharing more a little bit about the ethnicity integration policy. So what is this ethnicity integration policy? So basically in the past, the government wants a right mix and balance of the various ethnicity communities staying in a particular location. Therefore, they came up with this ethnicity integration policy. So within a block and within a neighborhood, there must be a limit of the number of the PR status and also the ethnicity group. So this more or less will always affect the minority. So therefore, I would like you to take note that if you are a minority staying in a particular location, for example, if you are Indian and maybe you are staying in places like Chinatown, I want you to take note that this may likely be affected by you. So what should you do when you want to sell your HDB? Okay. So now what you do is that before you sell your HDB at time, go to this website from HDB or just Google it, inquiry on the buyer eligibility and fill in the information. So whether you are buyer or seller, okay, regardless, always fill in this information because it's good to know how it affect you in future, and just key in the address and you will be able to find out whether is there any issues or whether is there any limitations with regards to the ethnicity quota. So what is this new regulation that's happening? Now, HDB has allowed people, sellers who can't sell a HDB to sell it back to HDB. Alright, so now but the minimum criteria you have is that it must be MOP, reach the 5 years MOP period, it must be owned at least for 10 years, and you must show evidence to HDB that this property has been marketed out for at least 6 months at a reasonable price. So the keyword over here is reasonable price. Okay. Now, how is this buyback price determined by HDB? So now that time, what we always do is that when we market the HDB at time, we would get an offer first, we will negotiate on the offer, and we will issue the option. Once the option is issued out, we will do the submission to HDB. HDB will send a valuator down to determine the price and therefore whether is there any COV or not, and we will conclude the sale. However, if we were to appoint HDB to sell it back to HDB, HDB in fact will actually appoint a licensed valuator down to check out the valuation of this property, and then HDB will determine the buyback price and to make an offer to the seller at a fair price. Okay, and what is this? The definition of this fair price is, now take note that this fair price is not selling price or not marketed price. Fair price means a price that's actually determined by HDB. So likely the price should be lower than the market value. So once the owner has this valuation from HDB, the owner has 3 months to decide whether they want to sell it to HDB or not at this particular price that was offered by HDB. If the owner is to reject, they are not eligible for this buyback scheme for the next 12 months. So just to share a little bit from my history of what I normally face, when I have this, normally I would say that for selling a HDB, it will take roughly 2 weeks to 3 months the most. But I have actually dealt before with this ethnicity quota issue where I have a unit that can only be sold to Indians, and therefore I actually hold this unit for over a period of 2 months before I find a right buyer. Now, what will happen to the flat? Now, when the flat is being sold back to HDB, it will become part of the housing stock where it will go through the sales and balance flats that will be offered to the public. So what should you do if you want to prevent such an issue from occurring, or I would rather say that when you want to sell a HDB at a time, what are things you should be doing? First of all, as stated, I say that you should go to the EIP HDB website to determine whether is there any issues to sell your HDB or not. Okay. Secondly, always check your EIP every month, because some months it may be affected when other units have been sold. So always check it every month. Okay. Now, I want you to also keep a monthly record of your marketing attempts or the marketing attempts by your agents. Okay. And you should be keeping records such as pictures of online ads, if you post on newspapers, digital market, or online portals. So you must always keep all these records together with pictures. So what type of record you should be doing, and what are the record that I do for my clients? Now, you can actually follow this record that I do for my clients. So keep a monthly record where you can list out all the months, and you can fill in the number of impressions. What is impressions? When you do digital marketing out that time, you will be able to see that how much ad has been actually shown to the public, and that is what I mean by impressions. Okay. The next column is number of inquiries that you receive. And from these inquiries, maybe you will receive that, let's say out of 5 inquiries, maybe on that month, you actually have 4 viewings. And from the number of viewings, how many offers you have, and whether you can have any comments or not. Okay. So each of these has its own play. When we look at impressions, the impressions actually determines how well this marketing effort has been put into it. Okay, inquiries actually shows that how many people actually call into it, and how frequent or how strong is your marketing effort. So the more inquiries you have, the better it is. But how much inquiries will translate into viewings, and that is what it matters. If we have very low viewings but many inquiries, likely the price is actually set too high up, and maybe you can actually adjust the pricing. Okay, if your number of inquiries and viewings is actually very closely matched, it actually is good. But however, it also means that there's a lot of people who are very interested in your units. You may want to increase your selling price instead. So that's all I have for this article. If you like this video, please feel free to click on the like button, comment, and if you have any questions, feel free to put in the comment section. And I hope to see you soon. Thank you, so long, and bye.